boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday School and Dharma classes, parents, grandparents, youth members, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday School and Dharma classes. May you all be well and peaceful. For this presentation, we are going to have another moral story which I think you have not heard before. It is called The Wise Diligent Man. Diligent means hardworking, industrious. The texts are in English and Bahasa Malaysia or Malay. But I will do the narration and explanation of the story and also the comments and explanation on the moral aspects. They will be done in English. Now, as usual, we will have a presentation of the story. We'll narrate to you. And you can read the Bahasa Malaysia version on your own later on or when it has been posted. And you can say that the most important slide is the last slide, where we discuss the Dhamma lessons that we can learn, bearing in mind the story. Now, before we launch a PowerPoint, let me check the setup. Setup is okay. So now let us launch the PowerPoint. You see here the cover slide. Now let me take off my picture. The Wise Diligent Man, a moral story. Orang bijak rajin, sebuah kisah moral. Now you can see here these two cartoon images show the man working very hard as farmers. Now this picture is symbolic. It tells us that we have to put in effort, energy, hard work in order to reach the top, in order to be successful, like this man trying to push a rock. So if he doesn't put in the effort, how can the rock go up to the top? This story concerns two people. You will see who they are as we go along the story. Now let us go on to the start of the story. Long ago, there were two friends named Astik and Idish, who lived in a village. Astik was a strong believer in God, and he spent much time worshipping his God. Idish, on the other hand, focused or concentrated on his work in the farm. He was a very hard-working person. And both of them were working in a farm to plant crops, like maybe paddy or wheat, or maybe even vegetables and so on, or fruits. They hope to harvest the crops one day and sell the produce. In other words, of course, they are earning a living. They hope to get the crops, be they paddy or fruits or vegetables, and then to sell the products at the market. And then with the money, they plan to buy a house each after some years of working. So this Irish, a very diligent or hardworking person, spent most of his time working at the farm. Actually, both of them should be working at the farm. Probably the farm belonged to somebody and they were just employees. And then, having worked at the farm, they would earn the money, isn't it? And as I say, they plan to buy a house. So this Idisha was very hardworking, from morning to evening, with just breaks for the meals. He will be working and working at the farm. But the other person, Ostik, he did very little work. He spent most of his time praying to his God. Praying to his God. Oh God, let the crops grow well. We have a good harvest. I have a lot of money. So he prayed and appealed to the God. So quite different, isn't it? The characters. Now you can see the picture. This actually here to represent the person who is always praying, right? Very devoted. Just like this particular person, right? What is his name? Adish, right? Adish. So let us see what would happen. After a few weeks, the crops in the farm were ready. They were harvested and sold in the market. Adish said, I should be getting more than what, right? So say, this Adish is the hardworking person, isn't it? You see, I should be getting more than what I stick is getting since I work harder. Most of the time I was in the field, but this person was at home or in the place of his dwelling. But then when he said this to his friend, that is, Astik say, what do you mean? I've also prayed hard day and night, And that is why the crops have turned out well, that we got a good harvest because of my prayers. I prayed and prayed. But this was say, I did the work. I did the plowing, picking up all the weeds and sowing and all those hard work, You say, I also did hard work, what? I pray, every day pray, So they sort of argued, right? Two different views, right? So let us see what will happen. Now, animated image will give you an idea. Those days, they do not have vans or lorries to transport their goods to the market to sell or to go to another place. So they had to use a bullock cart. And this cartoon image animated show the two of them arguing. This one is not animated. Now let us see what happens next. So the argument between the two got heated. So they reached out to the village chief. So they argue lah. They say, I should be getting more pay for working very hard. That was the hard-working, diligent farmer lah. Whereas the other one say, I should be getting, because I pray so hard and we get a good harvest, what? So they argue, no end, isn't it? So they say, okay, they were staying in a kampong, and usually there will be a kampong head lah, ketua kampong lah, a village chief. So they went and told the village chief what happened, right? What actually happened, and the crops grew and so on. So the chief heard the conversation, the entire conversation. So this, of course, these two people presented their points. The hardworking one, this one is the hardworking one. And he told the chief what he said. And the other one that would always pray and pray and pray. Then he said, it was my hard work at praying that I make the plants grow well and we got a good harvest. So then the chief of the kampong, who was a wise person, so he said, okay, I will tell you my decision later on, my judgment in a way. So now I'm going to present each of you one sack of rice. And inside you can find out what you have inside. Actually, he had mixed the rice grains with some very, very small pebble stones, small stones, bigger than the sand, but smaller than the usual big rocks or stones. So they mix, these were mixed together with the rice, So the rice, probably they were already harvested. All they were getting ready. You can see this one is the harvesting of the paddy. Give you an idea how people harvest And these will be the paddy grains, after they have tended to the stalks of the paddy, a big process to finally get at these grains. And these grains, of course, they will have to be processed again to turn into the white rice grains that you buy. All right? And also this will be used for planting. All right, so that is this idea to convey to you. So he gave this to the rice grains like this, but inside mixed with the pebbles. So he told them, you come back tomorrow, I will tell you what my decision is with regard to the arguments between you two. So then let us see what would happen. So they brought it's a gunny sack, the gunny sack of, you can say, rice grains. So each of them brought to their own dwelling, maybe a small hut or something like that. So this ash dish, so he opened up, he saw that the grains had a lot of pebbles. So he started to clean up the rice from the pebbles. He got to sort the things out, isn't it? So, he was full of dedication, very diligent person, He even stayed up the whole night to finish the task at hand, but it was quite a big task because the next morning he would have to go to see the penghulu kampung, the village head. So he stayed, he actually spent the whole day and night, maybe just a few hours of sleep. But what did the other fella do? What did Astik do? He didn't bother at all about the rice grains. Instead, what did he do? He actually just spent his time praying. He prayed to God, may I be wealthy, may the crops grow well, may I be able to build a big house, can I be blessed with always good harvest. So kept on praying and appealing to God to get all the things that he wanted. Right. Now, actually, this image shows, after getting the paddy grains, the old-fashioned method, now, of course, they have machines and so on. In the old-fashioned way, they had to beat the rice grains with the husks, So the husks are going to be taken out from the white rice grains, right? Then after that, of course, I think most of you know we use the rice grains paddy to cook rice, isn't it? Or kanji. You see, you don't appreciate that you are so lucky to have the rice to eat. But the whole process, from the time of planting until, getting the treated paddy grains to get the white rice of different grades, a lot of work, So you're very lucky to be able to get this, just buy from the shop, but it involves hard work. And this person, the diligent person, Adish, was the person that would always work very, very hard. Whereas Astik always just pray to the God. So let us go on to the next slide. So the next day, the next morning already, so as instructed, they brought the sacks of rice grains to see the chief. And the penghulu kampung had his assistants, in the countryside. You don't have a proper courthouse or things like that, So the penghulu sat in front of these two. One, the hardworking, diligent one, Ashdish, and the other one, the lazy one, would be praying one, always. So the penghulu asked them to open the rice sacks. So the two of them opened, and the penghulu examined the rice grains that were inside the sacks that were presented to them for taking back, the day before, isn't it? And he found that, wow, for the rice sack given to this hardworking person, Adish actually had cleaned up more than half of the rice already, Very little of the pebbles left. He couldn't finish. It was not easy to a whole bag. So it was not easy. Whereas the other one, when the penghulu for this sack of rice grains, nothing done at all. Probably he did not even bother to look at it. Right. Instead, he spent his time praying. So, when the penghulu asked Astik, did you open up and try to sort out things to get the good, clean rice grains free from the pebbles? You know what he answered? He said, I pray so hard to God, so therefore the rice must be clean. God would have helped me. Very important to pray, just as I pray and we got the good harvest. The very successful planting and harvesting because of my prayers. Oh, so he said, likewise, I pray, so the rice should be good lah. Wow, so much delusion after you see the Dhamma lessons. So that was the penghulu. So the penghulu straight away knew what to do already. With these two different people, this one the diligent one, and this one that just like to pray and pray and pray, but not putting in the effort and the work that he should. Right? So let us go on to the next slide. So of course, as I said just now, the penghulu checked the rice grains in the sacks. And he found, as I said just now, for the other person who liked to pray and pray, his entire sack of rice was the same, So the penghulu will see the difference in these two persons' characters already. And as I said, the other one, wow, nearly all the pebbles, more than half, all removed out. Quite a good job, So then the chief made his decision. He said, what did he say? It is only hard work that pays off in the end. Being completely dependent upon God will not help complete the task. From this, you can see, I conclude that Aidish has worked harder, so he should be paid more. He should get more rewards. Diligence pays, right? So you could see at the end, who was the one that was rewarded? He was the diligent man. Whereas the other one, so-called holy, that is not the meaning of being holy, just to pray without understanding. It is ignorance, delusion, and that's what happens to many people today. I will comment more on this at the Dhamma discussion slide. So you can see the animation. So the one feeling very happy will be the diligent man. The one feeling very, very sad will be the so-called holy man. The one that always like to pray, appeal to the God. So, and this penghulu gave a very good Dhamma teaching. Right? Like God will not just help you to do the work. It's hard work. Diligence is important, industry, effort. So he gave him a pep talk. I hope he learned, and the story did not say what happened later on at the end. So it's a very, very simple story, but we can learn important Dhamma lessons from this story. So let us go on to the next slide, number 8. Now, before we go on to the Dhamma discussion, I put in slide number 8 some wise sayings on diligence. Diligence, as I said, industry, hard work. Some wise sayings on hard work lah. And in Bahasa Malaysia, it sounds like this. Beberapa kata bijak tentang ketekunan. Yang penting. Tekun berusaha. So let us see what I picked some of the famous people. So Benjamin Disraeli was once a prime minister in England. So a very educated, well-known person in history. What did he say? He said, diligence is the mother of good fortune. In bahasa Malaysia, rajin adalah ibu kepada nasib baik. He's just telling you how important diligence is if you want to get blessings, if you want to get rewards, if you want to have gains, if you want to have so-called good luck. If you are not diligent, you cannot get this blessing, good luck, good fortune, and the gains in all sorts of ways, isn't it? See, this is the diligence. And in Dhamma practice, you will see later on also one of the most important qualities. But now let us just look at the educational point. Now, you see, in anything that a person does, diligence is very important. Now, let us say you as a student are preparing for an exam, but you are not diligent, you are not hardworking to do your homework, to do your projects, to do your revision and study for the exam. Instead, you spend more time praying, going from one temple to another temple to ask the God to bless you, to make sure that you do well in the exam, but you have not put in the good effort. So you can get A's. You probably will not even get 1A, and you may even fail, isn't it? Whereas the person who is very diligent, does the homework, does the projects, and always studies according to a very good timetable, then of course he will get the results. Now, if he wants to pray in his religion in a wise way, then it's okay. He has studied and done all his work. So when he prays in his own religion, he settles the mind. The Buddhist also, right? We can just go into meditation, or we make aspirations with my hard work and diligence. May I be blessed with the good results. Now that is different, because the work has been put in. It's not that Buddhists cannot pray at all. It's a different way. You just don't pray and appeal to the God to ask the God to help you. That is wrong, isn't it? That is the first important life lesson. Now, the second quote comes from Thomas Edison, a very famous scientist and inventor. You remember, I mentioned before, Thomas Edison, the American inventor, invented the electric bulb. He was very, very diligent and hardworking, always doing the experiment in his lab. And to invent and to be successful in the discovery of the electric bulb, he had to work so very hard, and he failed so many times, hundreds of times, where the bulb could not light up. And people, asked him, give up cannot work one time. No, he was diligent and he was persistent. He was determined. He had perseverance. He wanted to succeed. He went on and on. He said, no, it's not a waste of my time. Every time the experiment did not work, I learned something. What are the reasons? And of course, eventually, he succeeded in inventing the electric bulb. And we are so grateful for what we have today. Of course, a lot of progress went along the line of science. Now we have all sorts of lighting equipment. Neon lights, LED, all sorts of fantastic neon lights and all this. But the start, electric bulb of Thomas Edison. And what did he say? He said the three great essentials to achieve anything worthwhile. That means the three necessary or the three great important things in order to get anything that is worthwhile, means important and worthy things of use, of benefit, not useless things, the worthwhile one. The three things. First thing is hard work. That's what we are concerned with in this presentation. Hard work, diligence. And second one, there's no such word, but it's coined stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness, it means to just go on and don't give up easily. Perseverance. to go on. Many people, just do a little bit, very difficult, cannot already. They have no sticking power to continue on. This is the meaning, stick to itiveness, to persevere on and on, never to give up. Just like Thomas Edison's work to discover the electric bulb, isn't it? And then the third one is common sense. We have to use our thinking with logic. Common sense, like in this case, if everybody were to get things by just praying and praying to the God up there, then nobody has to work, isn't it? God will just grant you whatever you have if you praise Him, if you pray to Him. So common sense also tells you that this is not so, isn't it? But sad to say, many people don't have common sense. That's why so many foolish mistakes are made and also wrongful actions are done, right? So common sense, not really that common. So this is what Thomas Edison had to say. Very, very good life lessons. Now let us look at another famous person, Thomas Fuller. One that would have the fruit must climb the tree. This is, in a way, also like a proverb. There were similar things mentioned along this line. I think proverbs also have that. But anyway, what it means is this. Now, let us say you have a tree that has fruits, right? So you urgently need to have the fruit, and you find that the fruit is ripe already. So you must climb the tree. But of course, this you cannot just apply to all situations. Nowadays, of course, we have poles and so on, not need to climb. But the meaning is this: you must put in the effort, right? In order to get the fruit, in order to get the gain, you must have some pain. No gain, no pain, no gain. There's another problem. No pain, no gain. That means you don't put in the hard work, how are you going to gain something? If a businessman wants to be successful or a salesperson, you think just sit down there and do nothing? Cannot. If you look at the world famous people who have become very wealthy, and they also have done a lot of dana, you think they are lazy people? They're very, very hardworking people. So if you are not hardworking and you expect to be given the help, now the social welfare will give me, the government will give me, how can you succeed? You cannot. All the while you'll be like walking on crutches, depending on people's help, on the government, on welfare bodies. That is not correct. So if we want to gain things to benefit us and also can benefit others, because you can do donation, then you must put in the work. So those days, of course, they had to get the fruits like coconuts and so on. So they really had to climb the tree to get the coconuts. Or maybe they train the monkey to let the monkey go up and get the fruits. But whatever it is, they have to do something, isn't it? So you say, now mind just wait and wait for the fruits to fall. Yeah, in certain cases, maybe, right? But many cases, you find quite ripe already. And if you don't get plucked, then they may be eaten by the birds or other animals and so on, squirrel and so on. So you have to do something. So that is the meaning. Then the last of the quotation is very, very important. God helps those who help themselves. And this was done by Benjamin Franklin, also an American, very, very famous. He had also invented certain things, and he was also very talented in various ways. He was in American politics, and he was in the government, and so on. So this Benjamin Franklin made this statement: God helps those who help themselves. But actually, many people have said this already, but they say that Benjamin Franklin was one of the important ones who made this very important to people. This statement, publicize it, you could say. So it's very, very true. So if you say that, I pray to the God, and the God will help me, then you don't really understand. Otherwise, people don't work. Just pray and pray, isn't it? But if you help themselves, put in the work, if you help yourself, put in the hard work and so on, then you pray in a wise way. You say, may all my great effort, everything, bring me the blessings. May my diligence, everything. You make the aspiration. In other words, you settle the mind, then you can think more clearly. So that is the correct way. But most people don't do that. When they follow certain religions, including Buddhists, see, they don't understand the Dhamma. They think that Buddhism means praying to Buddha, praying to Kuan Yin, praying to various type of Pusat, and then not enough, they pray to various type of Angkong. So many Angkong, the gods, including Akong. The grandfather also passed away and also pray. So it's not praying in the Dhamma way, as we'll see later on. So this is also a very important quotation or wise saying. Now let us come to the most important slide. And that is the last slide, where we have the Dhamma to learn, understand, reflect upon, and to practice based on what is being taught. If you just read to study like you study the subject to get A, that is not practicing the Dhamma. That is just getting some intellectual knowledge. It may serve a certain purpose. But if you don't understand, reflect, and put into practice, then you are not really practicing or following the Buddha's teachings, right? So now let us go to the last slide. Only 3 important Dhamma lessons today for this presentation. Dhamma lessons to learn. Pengajaran Dhamma untuk belajar. So I've got this background to remind you, the enlightened one. He is having perfect, Buddha has perfect wisdom, perfect compassion, and he's all-knowing, all compassionate. So that's our greatest teacher. So if you respect the Buddha, then you must follow the Dhamma. So the Buddha did say also, he who sees the Dhamma sees me. The Buddha did not say that he who prays to me will see me. He's all effort, putting in the energy, industry. Now let us look at the first one. Learn and practice Dhamma diligently. You'll then be able to end misery. What does it mean? And this is written in the form of couplets where you find the words at the end have rhyming. And also the rhythm, the number of syllables in each line is the same. Now, when you, as I said just now, you have to learn and then understand, reflect, and practice. Of course, here I summarize into 2 things. They learn, the learning will incorporate the understanding and the reflecting, and then the practice. Now, then you say, how do I practice Dhamma? How do I practice? Of course, the first stage, you have to learn and understand and reflect. Now, the practice is the action that we do using the speech as well as the body. And basically, it boils down to 3 important aspects. In Pali, we say dana, sila, bhavana, or giving, or charity, or service that you must do. Right? Service, giving. And then the second one, the practice is sila. Sila is morality, that you have to follow moral code. Like lay Buddhists have to follow the 5 precepts. You know very well. Not to kill, not to steal or take what is not given to you, not to commit sexual misconduct, not to lie. And you can extend this precept of no lying into not to slander, to carry tales, backbiting, to tell bad about other people, and also extend it to this thing of don't use harsh words, no harsh words, harsh speech, abusive speech, rough speech, bad words that will hurt another person and cause people to suffer. I don't use that type of speech. And of course, the last one is no gossiping. And then, of course, you have no intoxicants. Don't take the liquor and the drugs that will make you lose your mindfulness, affects your brain and your mind. So that is the important things you have to practice. And of course, in the practice of Dhamma, you have many other qualities that have to be developed, like diligence. You see, you have the word diligently, determination, perseverance. Then also cultivate qualities like metta, compassion. So you have various good things that you need to practice. You have actually the 10 perfections, but actually for all of us, most important, dana, sila, bhavana. Giving, follow moral precepts or rules, and then to develop the mind, bhavana. Then it's only got to put in the effort. You cannot say, oh, may I be wise? I will be wise, I will know many things by doing nothing. No. Bhavana, you have to practice, like for example, to learn the Dhamma and understand. And you have to also listen to wise people, like very good cultivated monks who can give the talks, or you can read from good Dhamma books, or even the original scriptures if you are, very, very capable. And then you also want to develop the mind. You can discuss with your spiritual friends, very good friends who have good knowledge and wisdom regard to the Dhamma. Then you can discuss with them. And then you have to meditate. Now, meditate, of course, most of the Sunday school children, they know how to do metta bhavana, meditation on loving kindness. That is also good. So maybe when you grow older, from primary to secondary, then you have to learn some basic meditation to still the mind, to make the mind strong, not so easily distracted. Then you get a lot of fantastic things happening positively, and you can see things better, understand things better, and the mind develops to a very good level. That is bhavana, purification of the mind. That is what you mean by practice Dhamma diligently, right? Now let us look at the second Dhamma teaching. Beware of mental laziness and lethargy. This will hinder you from living meaningfully. Actually, this comes from what we call 5 hindrances that obstruct a person's spiritual progress. 5 things that block your progress, not only in the Dhamma, but actually you can apply in our everyday life. If your mind is filled with these 5 hindrances means halangan, or obstructions, obstacles, the negative things that come in your mind that block you from making progress. These are what we call hindrances. And the verb is hinder. So you have to be careful. One of it is this, mental laziness and lethargy. You have other of the hindrances like greed, sensual desire, clinging, grasping, anger, ill will. Of course, they lump together. Paul, I'm just giving you more examples of those other things that obstruct your progress. Anger, ill will, aversion, jealousy, and then also restlessness. The mind cannot settle. And then the mind always worried. This also is a hindrance. And then you have skepticism, doubt. You're always not confident in your Dhamma teachings, not confident in the triple gem as Buddhists. They don't even understand, they have no confidence. So the mind has no confidence, never investigate and find out, no confidence, and your mind will not be strong. And then you have this one that we are dealing with of the 5 sets. And that is in the usual way being expressed is sloth and torpor. But we can put it easy for you. Mental laziness and lethargy. Lethargy lah, 哎呀，真的闲了，很累啊。Every time tired, don't not active at all. The mind not alert. Now, of course, if it's due to a medical condition, you can actually go to see the doctor to get treated lah. But usually it's a Mara force, being just lazy. Don't have the energy and the spirit to do things. You get into the habit of lazing around, sitting on the potato couch, watching the TV day in, day out, right? Makan, all those things. So the mind has this type of laziness, lethargy, like, no energy and spirit to do things. So how can the mind be strong? How can good qualities develop? So we have to overcome these terrible hindrances of mental laziness. Always sleepy, always no mood to do this, to do that. Then you sink low in your mind. You are not alert. You are not mindful. You are not attentive. So all this weaken the mind. And this actually connected with non-diligence. So when you have these sort of things, you think the person can be diligent. He's so lazy, physically, mentally, because he doesn't have the wisdom to do what he should do, to do what he ought to do, to have the wisdom. It boils down to this only, and that is to practice the Dharma diligently. So, if a person is overcome by this mental laziness and lethargy, not doing constructive things, most of the time doing quite useless things, playing the computer games day in, day out, chit-chatting aimlessly, go to supermarket, round and round and round, not really buying, a lot of time wastage and so on. And then the worst thing is you are caught by Mara. Mara will be the evil forces. You mix up with bad friends. And these will lead you astray. And you can do unwholesome things or bad things, which can cause you trouble, cause you pain, and also bring a lot of hardship, unhappiness to your family, isn't it? So can you live meaningfully? You can't. Later on, you'll be regretting, you'll be full of guilt and remorse. So be careful. If we are overwhelmed by this Mara force of non-diligence to learn the Dhamma, of sleepiness, without without a valid medical reason. If you are, let's say, always sleepy and you feel no energy, the first thing, of course, you have to check up and check with the doctor, say, hey, there's nothing wrong with you really. Your food is okay, your nutrition, everything. Then it is just this Mara force. Mara is the personification of the evil forces of greed, hatred, delusion. So that is a very important Dharma lesson you have to learn well, so that you will not fall into terrible traps and then be overcome by a lot of dukkha, right? And diligence is an important quality. Once again, I emphasize. Now we come to the this is again emphasizing the important thing. Success is not attained or not God. Success is not God by mere praying and worshipping. Every day pray many times. Not diligent, the constructive and important beneficial work. Do very little. Spend more time, right, in praying than in doing constructive work. I'm not saying you should not pray or worship. No. I am saying you must do wisely, know what should be done, and not just mere praying and worshipping. You need to put in great effort to get every good thing. That is very true. The Buddha taught this. During Buddha's time, this was asked by the Brahmins, something you can say the early Hindu religion. So asked, you see. So they have this wrong idea. They want to get things, they do rituals which are not really meaningful. And the Buddha spoke against those superstitious rituals and practices that will not give you the blessings or the good things that you want. So some have a wrong idea. I pray to this God, I have a long life. I pray I will be wealthy. I pray that I will be clever. I pray that I will be handsome or beautiful. All this praying won't give you the things that you want. It's just by doing, by putting the effort. Like for example, if a person wants to have a long life, right? So you have to make sure that he does not kill, right? He will avoid, consciously, intentionally, he will avoid unnecessary killing. Today, of course, there are lots of killing, you see. So the Buddha said that if a person always kills, then he will have a short life. So that's why when you reflect on this, you understand why some are so young, they already die. Is it the God that makes them have a short life? Some are even born just not long, they don't even know what is good or bad. And then they die so young, babies even. I used to wonder why this is so. Then you say, oh, Tuhan made the world like that. It's not very logical. But if you understand that we have lived how many lives already, this has a connection with the past life and the past karma of that person. So that explains. So therefore, what you want a long life, then you must do acts of compassion, compassionate, kind deeds, and ensure that I don't kill a being. And then you want a good health, and so on. Of course, you have to take the logical steps according to health and medicine, like good food, nutritious food, enough sleep, enough rest, and all those things. But yet there's one factor. Some people, from young are very sickly. And the Buddha said, if in the past, previous life, for example, you always like to torture all the creatures, other people, insects, all these are wrong actions that will cause you suffering, that will give you sickly lives in the rebirths. And sometimes the later part also, you do early part of your life, you torture or make the animals suffer. Then the later part of you yourself, you get also terrible sicknesses and diseases. It could be that also. It's one of the factors. Other factors like in science and medicine, you have to know. So don't be foolish and do the wrong things according to science. Then of course you can get the diseases. Like people ask you to wear masks, you don't want to wear. People ask you, all the young men, don't go to Hayai or Golo to go and search the prostitutes and so on and do all those dangerous acts, and then you get the HIV or the sexually transmitted disease and say, it's my karma right? I did not pray to God enough. That is nonsense. It's just your wrong actions. So if you do the right actions, then you will not get the bad effects, isn't it? So the Buddha answered this question. Why is that some people are born so clever, intelligent, wise. You think just every time pray, oh, may I be clever, may I get all the A's, or may I be intelligent, all this? No. You have to do the work. And also having an inquiring mind to find out for yourself many things. And then also say, oh, pray and pray and pray. Can I be rich? You think the money will drop from heaven? You cannot be like that, isn't it? So the person works hard. And sometimes people are born into very wealthy families. Others are born into Africa, terrible state of poverty, not have enough. They don't even have enough food to eat, no clothes to wear. Great poverty. Why like that? Born into that type of family by luck. It's not by luck or by chance. There is a reason, there's a cause. And according to what the Buddha taught, is related to the karma. In previous lives, for example, we don't help, we don't give, we don't serve, we don't do dana. Then this can bring about rebirth into, let's say, if you're lucky, you born into the human being, but unlucky in that sense, you'll be born very, very poor. Of course, the person might have done some good also, except that he doesn't like to do dana. So all these follow the law of karma. So remember, Buddha has said, success, what you want, blessings, all these things do not come by just praying and worshipping. You have to put in the effort and do the proper wise things. I don't intend to give a talk on this. It's in Anguttara Nikaya, one of the scriptural books. So you see, I have spoken at length on many aspects of the Dhamma practice. I've chosen these 3 things of the Dhamma teachings. Perhaps they might have an indirect connection with the story. The story is basically about the person who doesn't just pray, but he does hard work. The person who always work in the field, remember? So basically it's that. So then I want to touch on this very dangerous hindrance of laziness, right? Opposite of diligence. So that's why I put in this Dhamma lesson. And then also I want to explain to you why it's not by praying and worshipping that we get all the blessings. If that were the case, then everybody should actually stop the work or do very little work. And then go to temples, go to churches, or go to any other place of worship, spend a lot of your time and pray and pray and pray. So can we get all the blessings? We have to work. Like scientists, they work very hard to help to solve the problems that cause us a lot of dukkha, isn't it? In the medical field, also they work very hard to research, to find the vaccination that is useful, like smallpox, polio. All right, those, you think you pray, then you won't get polio or this or smallpox. You have to go and study the thing and then do the research to find the cure. Like smallpox is wiped out from the earth already. And then also many others where the vaccination help to relieve the suffering of so many. So in all fields, you cannot deny that diligence is one of the important things, and not just by mere praying. But don't quote me wrongly and say, Brother O say that, no need to pray, no need to pay respect, all this. I don't mean that. I say that you must have the right understanding of praying and worshipping. It's just not appealing for things or supplication, we call it, asking for things. There are people like that. When things are going on quite smoothly, well, they just, don't bother lah. Just enjoy the life and everything. And then when some trouble happens, they quickly run to the temples and go and pray to Buddha and so on, all those things. That is not the Dhamma practice. Of course, there will be dukkha. But if all the while you've been following the Dhamma teachings and practicing dana, sila, bhavana, and then you know how to pray, right? Chanting with understanding, concentrating, develop the mind and meditating, then of course you will have more blessings. Of course, sometimes also dukkha comes because of past karma. So all this requires our investigation, our contemplation or deep thinking and reflecting. And of course, most important is to develop the wisdom by the bhavana, to have the right view. And the most important part you have to take in order to get the blessings, in order to be truly happy and peaceful, is to follow the Noble Eightfold Path, which I've mentioned before, but I'm not saying this. So I have spoken at length already, near 1 hour already. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the students, be they in Sunday school. Some primary students might be able to follow. Dhamma classes, also tertiary education students in colleges, universities, Buddhist youths, parents, grandparents who are also imparting moral values. They play a very important role to impart the good values and the Dhamma to the young, their children or their grandchildren. And of course, to all the teachers who have volunteered to teach moral education Dhamma in Sunday school or other religious bodies. So let us put our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Boys and girls, students, and all who have been following the presentation, take care. May you all be well, peaceful. Right? I'd like to thank you once again for following this presentation with good patience, diligence, all right, and also with good mindfulness. Sadhu. Take care.